We're gonna do a song that you never heard before. The volume.
Hear the drummer get wicked. Here we go again.
Ladies and gentlemen, please join Charlie Venus and Ace Kennedy for all your entertainment needs. Tune in each week as they give their take on all your favorite topics. Don't be clueless. Watch the Slash Brothers podcast. Peace and God bless you.
Hey, listen, it never gets old.
Never
bro.
gets old,
It
bro.
never gets old.
Never gets old.
Yeah,
Yeah.
man. Ace Kennedy, my brother from
Good with
another
you,
mother. Listen, man, real quick. Listen. Shout out to Brittany Rowe, man. I just randomly trying to get my Facebook situation privacy set up for the podcast, though, man. I saw Brittany Rowe mention that she got into a car accident, though, man. So listen, glad to hear that you all right.
Oh.
Yeah. Glad to hear that you doing all right. And if you going through some that requires recovery, you know, we got you. You in our prayers and our thoughts, though, man. But listen, shout out to you if you see this, though.
Yeah, absolutely. Brittany Rowe. I didn't know
Yeah,
that. I didn't see that.
Literally just saw that post up just a second ago, man.
Wow.
Yeah.
Yeah, shout out to. I have to check on her after the pod.
Yeah. Check on your peoples, though, man. Hey, listen, let me tell you this, though, man. I was actually kind of sad the other day, though, bro.
What's up?
Yesterday was the last episode of The Walking Dead, man. Of all it's been like 12 seasons.
Bro, you've been talking about.
Yes,
You've been talking about the Walking Dead ending for the last 3 years, bro.
it seemed like it's been like coming to, like they announced that it's coming to a formal end during COVID, right? Before COVID. So then it's like, all right, well, how do you get to that point with COVID? And then how do you also, they take their season breaks. They took like 3 or 4 breaks every season and everything like that, though, man. And so yesterday, Sunday actually was the official last. Now, mind you, they're still gonna have spinoffs. Boy Daryl, Daryl got his spinoff that's coming on out. Rick and Michonne got theirs coming on out.
Glenn got a spinoff coming out.
Glenn ain't coming back. No, he ain't coming back. But I thought that, let me tell you this though. I thought, what was funny though, right? Is they had and then what's also funny about that is that Negan and Maggie has a spinoff show that I think they already shot, as a matter of fact. And so what's funny about that, it's funny you brought up Glenn, because they had asked the homeboy Negan on the little reunion show. They was like, hey, like what do you think about, Negan, and what kind of Negan do you think we're gonna see, coming on up? Like, what's his motivation? And so the guy was like, yo, I think that you're gonna see a little bit of the old Negan and some of this new Negan, because I think that this new Negan kind of seen the era of his ways and everything like that. So the boy Abraham was like, well, thank you for finally seeing that. You're gonna wait until I'm dead. And I busted out laughing when I saw it, though, man, because I just remember him and Glenn getting bashed, man, with Lucille, bro. So it was a dope little reunion, though, man. But it was bittersweet, though, bro. That was my show for some years, though, man.
Yeah, real quick, bro. I was gonna say the boy Negan's supposed to join the cast of The Boys, bro. So I can't wait to see what character he play on there.
Can totally see if he's anything like Negan. Yeah. I can totally see it.
Yeah. Well, look, bro, we came here for some things, and we got some things to talk about. So let's get this music popping off so we can introduce our special guest and we can get this thing going.
Let's do it.
It doesn't matter what your name is.
Slash Brothers Podcast, the greatest podcast of all time. time.
Listen, if you haven't already, be sure to like and subscribe to the Slash Brothers YouTube and Facebook pages because we are live on both platforms at the same time. You click on the bell, you get the heads up whenever your boys them is doing that thing. Ace Kennedy. Okay. I know you said it was a delay. I thought that was on my side there, but we good. We Gucci. Set this one up though, bro.
Yeah. So about a month and a half, maybe 2 months ago, I met two incredible people. It's funny because I actually ran into them first. I was going to my room, was in the elevator, seeing these two brothers. We chopped it up. And the cordial's like, hey, how you doing? Oh, you here for Shatoria? Yeah. Oh, yeah, cool. I'll see you later. Whoop. Little did I know they were hosts of their own podcast, also musicians, artists, writers, really dope creatives. Instantly hit it off. I mean, we spent most of our nights strategizing, coming up with new ideas, like just really planning the landscape, just really dope conversation to be around like-minded people. But the biggest thing that kept us going all weekend was arguments over Black Panther. I'm talking about all weekend long. All weekend long. It got so bad it was bleeding into other sessions because we would, like, in the breaks, we would still be arguing about it. But anyway,
okay, so we'll get into that, but give me an example
of the argument.
Yeah.
Well, I mean, we basically argued about, we were saying, okay, now this is prior to us seeing the movie, right? And we were like, how should this go, right? Should they recast or not recast? And that's kind of where everything stemmed from. And then it just broke into sub conversations and sub arguments and sub points. And so, yeah, we gonna get into all of that. But
let's do it then, bro.
They are the host of the Let's Rap podcast, my brothers, Philosophikal and Jay Ecko. Y'all welcome.
Get them round. You got what the rounds of applause at?
Hey.
What's going on?
How y'all living?
Good, man. What's going on with y'all?
Appreciate it for having us on.
Absolutely. So for those of y'all that don't know, this is going to be a spoiler heavy, and I'm talking spoiler heavy.
Okay.
So you gotta get into this one.
Matter of fact, in 5, 4, 3, 2, 1, you have been warned. T'Challa got a son. That's just your warning shot.
Let's talk about this though, because the initial conversation that got y'all going was the conversation about the recast. Now, Ace, I know that you've always been for recasting T'Challa.
Yeah.
What was the consensus of that conversation though?
So Phil, why don't you tell your side of it, bro?
Yeah,
I've said my piece plenty of times on the pod. I thought they should have recast. So what was your thought process prior to the movie?
My thought process now, after hearing you make the introduction, I feel I was right. At first, I was going to get on here and apologize and say, hey, I was wrong after seeing the movie. But now, after seeing the movie, my argument kind of wins. Now I kind of win that argument as far as like they couldn't recast Black Panther now due to the fact that there's an agenda going on as far as selling this movie, as far as T'Challa passing away. And that's exactly what happened in this movie, throughout the movie actually. So I understood why, and now you making that introduction, it's understood why they couldn't recast.
So
now,
let me first off, let me interrupt because that wasn't the question. Okay, the question was, what was your argument beforehand? Okay, you don't get to retroactively say I was right. That's not how we do this.
That they shouldn't have recasted Black Panther.
Okay. Why did you originally think they shouldn't recast Black Panther?
Because. Okay, so I harp back on
now, mind you, this is again we've seen the movie, and let's just say you never saw this movie and you didn't know that the script was going to go this way. Let's say if it was a real, if let's just say hypothetically, right? If Chadwick Boseman was the actual, if he didn't die, the script would have been differently, right? So given that that's the case, though, like what was your reason for saying, hey, you know what, we shouldn't even recast him whatsoever? Just
so my argument was based off of the first movie, right? The first movie was mainly about the all black cast, kind of really honing in on the black superhero agenda, making a movie for us, right? So my whole notion for, I guess the whole point of the argument of T'Challa passing away is the fact that they can't recast the second one so quickly because you're gonna take away on what the movie based off his memory, of course, his marketing behind it, story wise, script wise, and of course, based off of what we saw in the movie till today, we saw the movie is exactly what happened. Just starting from the strong male character. I don't know, how many ladies are watching the show, but no disrespect to the ladies, the woman agenda going on in the movie, the marketing, a lot of that was going on, and they couldn't. This movie was specifically on to market the death of T'Challa, right? On his passing, right? To get the people out there, to get the people outside of what the first movie was about, right? Because him passing away, it was everywhere. So that was my argument. But of course, that spewed over for 3 days of me.
So let me say what my response was.
Okay.
I said that I said a couple of things. First, that there's Marvel fans. We did agree on this part that there are Marvel fans.
Yep.
And then there are black people that are supporting a black movie, right?
Exactly.
And so from his perspective, he said that Marvel is taking care of the black community. And I said, for me, with any business, you should take care of your core fans. So the people that have followed all of the movies up until this point, the Marvel story should have been the most important thing. So here's what I told him was, either way, people were going to come see this movie, whether they recast or not. Because for one, if they don't recast, they're going to want to see how they handled it. If they do recast, they want to see how this new actor is going to play to taking over T'Challa. So either way it went, the controversy itself still would have bought a ticket. So if that's the case, why not take care of the core fans, which are the Marvel fans, so that the story goes forward? Because the real life passing of Chadwick Boseman shouldn't affect the overall story of the Marvel story. Whatever story they were planning to tell before Chadwick Boseman tragically passed, that should have been the story that they told. That was my stance.
Okay, well let me ask you this, right? So the amount of money it made, it was not, and I've said this before, it wasn't all Marvel people. It was not all Marvel people going to see this movie, based off of the amount of money this movie made. Again, it was people that were interested in this specific movie based off of seeing the first one. How are they going to handle the T'Challa death, right? And based off of what we get ready to talk about in a few minutes, it was handled with the agenda that I originally said it was going to do. Right.
But that was never the argument, though, on how they were going to do it. We said the question was, should they recast or not? That was it. But just like you did in San Antonio, you took the question and changed it to the way you wanted to answer it, to what you thought we asked. And that wasn't even the question.
Well,
we already established the fact that we know that there are people that black people that are coming to see this movie because it's a predominantly black cast. We knew that. So what I'm saying is, if you were gonna still get those people, whether you recast or not, why not take care of your core fans and make sure that the story of Marvel went forward? If you notice on my reaction to seeing the movie, I said this was an A+ for a solo movie. But when it comes to Marvel, I felt it was a C. Because with the Marvel stuff, they checked the boxes on stuff they needed to get done. Oh gosh, here we go.
I completely disagree.
You disagree because
I
according to my
disagree.
post, you agreed. So
I
I'm
completely. Well, your post is different than what you just said, but okay.
no, my post isn't. I can pull my post up, sir.
Pull it up. Pull it up. Go ahead. Go ahead, Ace. Pull it up.
Yeah, let me go ahead and pull it up. Charles,
Right,
why you disagree with what I said?
You got to explain yourself. You got to explain. Okay, because here's here's my problem with that. So my problem with you saying that though, right, is that it's so I compare your ratings to how you rate other movies, right? So when you say that Wonder Woman was a 5 or 6, and then you say this is a C, you're saying this was one notch above Wonder Woman.
See, that you didn't listen to what I just said. You didn't listen to what I just said.
No. Listen,
I'm about to pull up the post. We're gonna pull up the post. I said this is an A+ movie. If this was a solo movie, this is an A+. But when it comes to Marvel, as a Marvel movie, it's a C. I think
a Marvel movie is an A+. They checked all the side story. They checked everybody. Are you serious right now? That's my point. I'm like, wait a minute, what is going on here? Like, it's an A+ Marvel movie. Well, for a solo movie, it's a C+. For a solo movie, it's a C+.
I would disagree with all of y'all, essentially. So for me, well, not so much. As a solo movie, I would say it's a B+ for me. There are a couple of questions I had, but as a Marvel movie, I think, and this is a full spoiler thing, I think the boxes it checked off, I would also give it a B, because they managed to introduce some new stuff. They said mutants in the movie for the first time, which is something I don't think they've done unless they've done it in.
They did it in. They actually did it in. What's little mama name? Miss Marvel. They did it in Miss Marvel.
Okay, they did it in Miss Marvel.
Yeah, they even played.
I said movie though. I said movie. I'm not.
Miss Marvel was a movie. Miss Marvel was a movie.
No,
Miss Marvel was a TV show. Yeah.
I'm thinking of Captain Marvel. I'm sorry.
Yeah. So it's the first movie where they said the term mutant. So they got that out there for folks like me who mainly watch the movies and a couple of shows here and there. It's like a big A. Like, okay, they said it. This means they're bringing this to the forefront at some point. But there were also some things where it's just like, so all of a sudden we just have vibranium in a second place because plot reasons randomly. Okay, cool. Get that. I got you. You need a reason for them to be beefing. Yeah, so I would say it's a B+ for Marvel, but as a solo movie, I enjoyed it. For personal enjoyment, I would give it an A+. I enjoyed the movie. Now it took me some time to come to that because of all those things that it was like, do I mind this as much as does it stick out to me? Nah, not really. And I was having a conversation with folks at my job, and I was like, you know what? I think I prefer the second half of this movie slightly better than I prefer the second half of the first movie, barring the villain. I think the first movie has a better villain, but in terms of the overall flow of the second half, I would give it to this movie over the first.
The first movie had better action. The first movie had better story. The first movie had a better villain.
I can't
the first
give
movie
you all
had
that.
better pacing.
I can't give you all that.
The first. I can keep going.
Let me ask you. This is me for me to understand where y'all going. I got two questions for y'all. It's one question. If this is whatever you rate this one is, Ace, you said C for however you want to categorize it.
A+
right?
as a standalone movie.
Even
C
for Marvel.
for a Marvel movie.
Let's say C for a Marvel movie. My question for you: how do you rate the last Thor, and how do you rate the last Doctor Strange?
Okay. Different rating system,
No.
sir.
Are
you gonna let me explain or what? Are you gonna let me explain?
When you said that, I am. But when you said that, I thought maybe I didn't elaborate enough. I'm saying based off of your Marvel movie rating system, right? Where does
can I explain?
Thor And
So
the last, let
now,
me hear it.
Charles,
What you got?
as long as you've known me, I've been very consistent about everything that I've done. Okay. So again, I rated this movie by itself, meaning that this movie had an agenda, just like Phil talked about, right? And so when you're asking me about the Marvel stuff, Thor was a complete Marvel movie, meaning that the movie was focused on nothing but Marvel stuff. The Black Panther movie, Wakanda Forever, sprinkled Marvel stuff in it. So that's where the C came from the Marvel side of it. As a complete movie, this was a way better movie than Thor. This was a way better movie than Doctor Strange. Now, if I had to put them in order, it would be Wakanda Forever, Doctor Strange, and then Thor.
Where do you rate them? That's what I'm asking you. What is their ranking? If this is a C, then what
But
are
that's
those
okay.
movies?
So,
Well, no,
but
Marvel
let me
movies.
go
You
back
don't-
to what I'm. Let me. Okay, when you and I rate movies, we rate movies in a number system. Do we not?
Facts.
Okay, so Wakanda Forever as a movie is a 9. Okay,
Okay.
Wow.
Thor
Wow.
is a 7,
Wow.
and Doctor Strange is probably a 7.5, maybe an 8.
Where do you put the first Black Panther?
10.
For me, it's a 9.
It's 10.
So you're telling me Wakanda Forever and the first Black Panther are the same rating?
No, they
So-
both get a 9. But I'm saying at the same
Which
time,
is better in your opinion?
the first one, and I
Okay.
can easily tell you why.
Okay.
The second movie lacked a great protagonist.
People say Namor, the Namor had a better
Protagonist.
story. Okay.
No, not better than Killmonger's.
No, it was not. But I think this movie checked off a lot of Marvel's side stories. That's the
It
problem
did,
I have
but
with
it
this
did-
movie.
Right.
That's the problem I have
it
with
just
this movie.
picked them off. That's it.
Yeah.
It didn't. So that's
what
what
are
I'm
y'all?
saying.
Wait. Because I'm not gonna let y'all just slip that in without explaining. What are y'all talking about? Side stories.
Okay. Listen. Every Marvel movie should further tell a story for the setup for the next movie, for the next TV show, or whatever. So this movie just checked. So this is what I mean, right? They know Ironheart has a series coming out. Check. We got the Ironheart. Now, Ironheart was part of the main story, so that's not really the check mark thing. But we got the Thunderbolts is coming out. Check. We got to add that in there.
Ross.
So what I'm saying is, oh yeah, and then they're setting up all the Young Avengers, right? Check. We got that in there. So they got check marks off, but it didn't. What I'm saying is you could take those elements out and it's not going to change the story. The only one that's going to change the story is T'Challa as T'Challa's son. That's the only thing. But that was already going to be.
I mean, technically, that doesn't even change the story. All you do is just not show him in the movie. You could literally have it be, the next movie. Hey, this is his long lost kid. The
problem I have with this movie is the fact that the only Wakanda story you got progressing forward is vibranium. That's it.
Right? I would disagree.
Wait a minute. What movie are y'all watching?
I would disagree. I would disagree wholeheartedly.
Wait. You said that's the only story they got is vibranium. So you
no.
No. Going forward as far as Wakanda. In the first movie, they talked to you about how you become king as far as the next king. In the second movie, they killed off the queen like she was nothing. They just killed her off.
See, first of all, don't do that to Angela. Okay, first of all, don't disrespect Angela like that.
No slander
I'm talking like I know
of whatsoever.
So you guys shed a tear when he killed her.
No, I felt something. I didn't cry.
No, but the amount of sympathy and empathy you have for this woman who lost her husband.
It wasn't portrayed. It wasn't portrayed properly. It wasn't portrayed properly in this movie.
You, because I felt that. Like,
right. She said, "Haven't I given enough?"
Exactly.
And then she dies.
She literally. Yeah, like you said, you got it. Perfect. I would stop talking because you got it. You got it.
Well, listen,
that's what I'm saying. All of the emotional beats. This is why it's an A.
It didn't hit the emotion. Right? That's the problem.
As a standalone movie.
That's the problem.
That's just to you though. I said for me.
Okay.
I said for me, as a standalone movie, all the emotional beats that it was supposed to hit, it hit them. When the movie first came on and they talking about trying to save this man and knowing how he really died, like that stuff. When his son walked out, that's when that was my first audible, like
yep.
The first scene didn't do it for me because it was part of the trailer. So I saw if I would have never.
No. The first scene was not in the trailers.
No. What I'm saying is this, right? If I would have never saw any of the trailers, right, and when you first see the very first presentation of what Wakanda Forever is going to be about, right? You know that they're addressing the Panther dying somehow. You see on the trailer how they got the wall mural, and you see
they
that
did the funeral, but they did. What I'm saying is the opening scene.
What I'm saying though is that what I'm saying is that had I not seen the trailer, right, and that's the reason why I don't really watch a lot of trailers like that, because that part would have been more emotional for me had I not seen the trailer. So it's like I'm kind of rewatching what I already saw or know, right? And now they're just explaining it, but I know what's gonna happen. So I didn't, because when you told me, oh yeah, that intro scene kind of had me, I was just like, I didn't get that.
So for me, it wasn't the intro scene for me. For me, it was the exile scene, because she pretty much holds it together for the whole like for the funeral, all that sort of stuff. Like, this might just be me, but I didn't. Shuri wasn't one of my favorite characters. Shuri. She wasn't one of my favorite characters, so I didn't feel it as much when she was crying, when she was breaking down. I was just like, that sucks, sis. But let's move on. I might be cold, but that's how I felt. But when we got to the exile portion of it, and you feel, because Queen Ramonda the entire time is just like, look, I'm just keep pushing forward. The world's trying to start some stuff. All right, let me let them know. Don't try me right now. All right, we did that. All right, this random dude named Namor just showed up. All right, I gotta let him know. Don't try me right now. And then she loses her daughter, the last person she thinks she has, and the way she immediately turns on what's Okoye. Immediately, she's like, you had one job. Facts. You had one job and you screwed that up.
And I didn't look at it that way until she said, listen, you know what I'm saying? You was, that's the only thing. And that to me told me how hard as a parent she had to have taken that, and how she had to be though, bro. I thought it was dope.
That ain't even the biggest slight that she had on her. The part that got me, the stuff that you talking about, the amount of petty, is when she was like, and remember, y'all went with Killmonger.
Yeah, she said your husband. Who you gonna get your husband? Yeah, she said, and brought her husband up too. Like, oh, you talking about that clown over there? Like, I was like,
wow. The brother who's still alive, who you can go see whenever you want to.
Yeah,
you're talking about him? Nah,
so Phil, here's the question that I have, because you said that it doesn't further the story about Wakanda, right?
Yeah, specifically for Wakanda, yeah.
Right. I think that aside from the vibranium, you do have so much other, because now you have it to where, all right, T'Challa does have a son. So how does that look when it comes to a male possibly being the heir to the throne instead of it being Shuri as the person who's there? Then it's like, all right, well, does everybody accept now that since she's the Black Panther, that she traditionally, right, there hasn't been a female Black Panther, so as a tribe, are we accepting that this is now the person? I think that's one of the storylines. Or then do you have it to where you have another tournament now to determine if there are any other people who really want to challenge it now? I think that it opens up. I get that.
So me and Ace had this conversation, right? And we kind of hinted that it was going to be, and Ace kind of hinted, and I hinted, like, there's going to be a son. Well, we spoke of it as if, okay, Black Panther is supposed to be the leader of the Avengers. So my question is, how are they? And I understand, they had to how are they going to integrate this? You know, he's like right now he's like 7 years old. Are they going to go forward 20 years? Are they going to tell that story? Are they going to tell that story of what happens? How does he become king in Wakanda?
I mean,
that's the thing. So they
the
already
part.
set all of that stuff up though, because all of the other every other Avengers movie has introduced the Young Avengers, right? In Wanda, the WandaVision, you had the boys. They introduced them. You in what's my boy name? With the bow and arrow. I can't. Dang, I'm slipping on names. Hawkeye. You got Lil Mama that's there. You got Ant-Man's daughter. You got Iron Man's daughter. You have now Black Widow's sister. You got Thor's daughter. So they're setting up the Young Avengers. Thor's daughter.
Oh, hold up, pause. Wait a minute. Thor got a kid?
You didn't see the last Thor?
No, I did not. I did not. Okay.
Came with the last. Spoiler alert
for you. Spoiler.
I mean, I set myself up. This is on me.
But I heard mixed reviews about that movie. That's why I didn't see it.
Yeah, I didn't watch it because of the reviews. But you know,
well, anyway, all I'm saying is they already setting up the Young Avengers, so I can see where they're going to deal with that. But we have a new king of Wakanda. Shuri is just the protector. M'Baku is now the king of Wakanda.
Right. But then here's the thing though, right? M'Baku was the king, but we didn't know when they announced him the king that there was a little T'Challa, right? So then it's like, does that change everything?
Yeah,
then?
Nobody knows. Nobody knows.
So that's what I'm saying though. I think that in terms of the storyline of furthering Wakanda specifically, I think that it opens up to a conversation to be had.
But no. I agree with you. The Wakanda story did go forward. I disagree with Phil. I'm just saying those questions were answered though.
Yeah, but the execution, the execution of the Wakanda going forward. That was one of my problems, right? Second problem is I feel like this movie was missing a strong male character. I didn't quite connect with the villain very well, and that's just me. For me, that's why I love the first movie, because I could connect with Killmonger. I couldn't connect with Namor too much. It was like you said, it was very random. And for me, it was just vibranium, and and they kind of just pushed M'Baku back.
So in
my opinion, they pushed him back. He didn't have much to say. He didn't have much to do in this movie.
But he didn't really have that much to do in the first movie either. Literally, all he does in the first movie is challenge T'Challa, get his behind whooped. Then he shows up at the end he finds T'Challa randomly. We don't see how that happens. And then he helps him at the end. That's basically
well, you do remember that one, he was the comedy
and helped him in Avengers also.
And two, they had to go to him in the first one for protection to get his help. So he played a bigger role. He played a bigger role in the first one than he did.
He did the same thing in this one. He did the exact same thing in this one. They went back to him for help again.
He was the spiritual advisor. He was also the main protagonist that stayed behind to do the big battle. He was the camera stayed on him through in the third act. So, and he was there during the funeral scenes. He had more stuff in this movie than he did in the first movie.
So you're telling me you don't think M'Baku played a backseat role in this movie?
I thought that he played the same role he did last time.
But
he played the same role.
But your point about missing, right? But your point about
missing was always a secondary character. He was never a main character, and he played the same. He played the same position. He was advisor. He was comedy relief, and he had some dope action scenes. That was literally it.
And the action scenes were not dope in this movie. We're not dope in this movie.
That's opinion though.
Yeah,
hold on. So you mean So you mean to tell me that I keep thinking when Okoye fought the dude, and when they were in the street fighting on the bridge, that wasn't dope? Because that was fire to me.
I didn't like the fight scene. I didn't like the fight scene between Namor and Shuri. I didn't.
I didn't like the fight scene between T'Challa and what's his name either.
Are you
It was a
crazy?
I didn't like
cartoon.
it.
Are you
It
crazy?
was a cartoon.
No,
Are you
I didn't like the
serious?
second fight. No, I didn't like the second fight with Killmonger and T'Challa. I
no,
thought
it was just a bunch of CG.
Exactly.
That was it.
Now, if you're talking about the Warrior Falls fight, that was dope. I loved it.
Yeah.
But
I agree.
the last fight, that
Are you
was
guys talking
that was a
about when
video
they were on
game.
are you talking about the one when they were on the ship on the second movie when they were all on? I didn't like that scene for some reason.
No, when they fell above the little tunnels with a train and they were fighting down, and when Killmonger ultimately died.
Oh
I thought
yeah,
okay. That was kind of corny.
Yeah,
you
it
did?
was.
You thought it was kind of corny?
It was
It
corny.
was, man. Yeah,
It was.
Yeah,
It was just
didn't
CGI.
live up.
It reminded
Yeah,
me of
it-
DC.
I can agree.
It was,
I can agree.
It was CGI, and it didn't live up to what I thought. So you know what it is. So for me, right, this is where from my preference in Marvel movies, that my rule of thumb and my go-to in fight scenes is this fight scene better than any of the fight scenes on Winter Soldier, right? And if it's as good as Winter Soldier, then that tells me it's grade A, because I hold Winter Soldier as probably like the top Marvel movie. It's like Winter Soldier, Black Panther, Affinity
Civil War.
Wars. It's those are like my top four. And now
Surprised you don't have Infinity War #1.
No, it ain't. Winter Soldier.
He said straight up, nah, it ain't
Winter
that.
Soldier is it, bro.
The reason
Infinity
why Winter
War,
Soldier is,
man.
listen, the reason why
Go
I
ahead.
think that Winter Soldier is, though, bro, is that
Okay.
to me, Winter Soldier is less CGI and it's about
Okay.
plain old ass whipping. It looks
Okay.
like these are just fights that anybody could do, that even though Captain America has superpowers, he's still doing regular person stuff, though, right? But
Here's the
when I
thing.
saw Killmonger fight the Black Panther, that first scene looked like that. The second scene didn't at all. That's the
And I
reason
can
why.
understand that him falling in the trail. I get it. Now that you think about it, okay,
But
I
see,
get
look,
that part.
even in Winter Soldier, this is what I mean why I agree with him. You had the scene when they were leaving the apartment in the hallway. That was one take. You know what I'm saying? That was one take that they fought for that long period of time. So I think that's what's super dope about it. But even in Civil War, right, when they were inside of the campus, when Zemo let Bucky back out, and they was just fighting in the conference rooms and stuff like that. That hand-to-hand combat, there was nothing
dope.
like that. Yeah.
I can
So
agree
that's
with
what we
that.
compare.
Yeah, I
That's
can
what we
agree
compare
with
the
that.
fight scenes to.
So
But I
what
will say this, though.
do you think about the fight scene on the ship of Wakanda Forever?
I didn't like. Here's my thing. I'm gonna just be honest. I'm gonna go ahead and say it. I understand that Shuri becomes Black Panther in the comics. I did not like her as Black Panther in the movie. I just didn't.
Yeah, I can agree.
I'll agree and disagree. So I feel like based on her characterization, it doesn't work as well. Like I would have thought maybe, like I was honestly expecting Nakia to take the herb, because she had, not that she had more invested, so to speak, but to me it felt like, okay, she's been in the background this whole time. She is an actual fighter, though. She does a lot more subtle stuff. So her doing it from behind a mask, it's felt like, okay, this is you just a little more elevated. Whereas Shuri, she's been the scientist the entire time. And it's not to say that it's not to say that, you know, scientists can't get down, can't throw hands or nothing like that, but it didn't seem to fit as well with her character. But when you fold in, like, and this is why I like that I didn't initially want them to bring Killmonger back, but this is why I like that they brought him back. The fact that he shows up and he's like, yo, you're just as pissed off right now as I was that entire time. I was like, all right, makes sense. Got you.
Yeah. And see, that's what I was about to say. I was going to say the writing on this movie was top notch, meaning that the reasons why they did stuff, like everything had a reason. Now, just because that's the case, that doesn't necessarily mean I enjoyed everything, but I can't argue with the fact that the way it was written and why they did certain things all of that made sense. All of that was top notch, which is why I said this is an A+. Like it's a masterclass on cinema photography, all of that. Like everything about it was good. I just didn't like some of the things that I saw. But me personally, that would have been the perfect opportunity to bring Killmonger back. Because this is my thing, right? I said Killmonger didn't die. This is my explanation.
Yeah,
the same thing that happened to Killmonger in Wakanda Forever, like when she got impaled, right?
Yeah,
is the same thing that happened to Killmonger in the first movie. So why did he die from that?
Yeah,
that didn't make sense to me.
Yeah.
So listen, I'm gonna be honest with you though. For my own selfish reasons, I would have been perfectly fine with seeing Lupita as the Black Panther, though, bro. I would have absolutely loved to see her in that suit, bro. Like I'm talking, I've been trying to tell. Listen,
I've been trying to tell you this. For that.
Listen, I've been trying to tell you she had them cakes, bro. I told you that I've been like I've been trying to tell you that, bro.
Not enough leather, huh?
I've been trying to tell you. I saw her with them cakes on 7 Years a Slave, and I was like, hey, yo. And bro, but listen, but here's the thing about it. To me, I'm okay with that, and I'll probably butcher her name, Zuri. I'm okay with her being the Black Panther, and I would have had some similar issues if Killmonger didn't kind of give her that venom that I think that she needed to balance it out. Because to me, it's like I understand that to me that when you're the Black Panther, you get the superhuman powers, right? But it still doesn't change the fact that she's this thin 115-pound tops female, right? And so the look of that just doesn't look like so menacing. But then when you get the vengeance behind it, then it's like a different motivation. And I think that to me was why I would have been cool if they would have brought Killmonger back somehow. I don't know how you can bring him back and then not still have that kind of mean streak in him. But I at least like that his mean streak, it was almost like he was passing that baton of what she needed. But I thought that it was to balance out her being such a lightweight, right? It's how do you?
So let's speak on that. If you would have had to bring Killmonger back, how would you have played the story of him fighting Namor, or there would be no Namor?
I think you can have him fight Namor.
You would have had him fight.
Yeah, Namor. But what would be the reason?
I think you got to earlier in the movie, right? I think you got to bring him back. Like to me, I think that you almost got to bring him back well before there's even the conversation about Zuri being interested in being a Panther. And I think that even well before Angela Bassett dies, I think that you got to bring him back. And even if you do it after she dies somehow, right? I think that what would have been dope is somehow in the process of them bringing him back, if with him passing the ancestors, right, that he was then talking to Angela Bassett and she was giving him the game about, listen, this is the Wakanda way. This is how you got to be in order for blah, 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 blah. And I think that them two cross paths in the afterlife and bringing him back. So now you're taking the death and you're giving birth to the Black Panther. I thought that would have been fire.
Yeah, and they had an opportunity to do it because when Lupita was talking to her and she was like, the herb is gone. And she was like, not all of it. That could have been the point that they introduced Killmonger. And the thing was this, right? What they could have did is had him, you remember what they did with Bucky? Right, the last time we saw Bucky is he was frozen again, right? But then when we saw him when they brought him the new arm, he was at a different location in Wakanda. That's what they could have did with Killmonger. And like you said, make him take the herb again, go into the ancestral plane, see Mama, she give him the game and apologize for her husband, or even had her husband apologize to him for killing his dad. Like,
the way I would have,
they could have did.
The way I would have done it is I wouldn't have even had them apologize. So
they would have had to have a motive, though. They would have had to wrap
the whole thing in the first movie was he was angry. He was angry at the world. So honestly, what I would have done is like, okay, like you said, Ace, he never died. he was on ice somewhere chilling. But the second like Shuri goes missing, it's like, yo, and like we said, Ramonda is pissed. She's done with everything. So she's pissed off and she's like, yo, that dude who wrecked us last time, go get him. All right. And we're going to have a conversation. And she's literally like, look, I see why you were pissed. I'm in a similar situation right now, but help me out with this one thing. Go get my baby, and we will figure out how to do your thing. Not with all the violence, not with all the bloodshed, but we'll do your thing as well. So you set him off. You set him off the same way he would have gone off before, except he's pointed straight at Namor. And that way, when Namor shows back up, it's like, oh, you still want the smoke? All right, let's go. Let's do this. And he has a built-in reason to fight.
The revelation of him as a Black Panther would have been the ultimate redemption, bro.
Yeah, two things.
But how would they have wrapped up T'Challa's son though? Would have been a scene.
I mean, he can still have a baby floating around.
I think, and listen, here's the thing about it. That goes to me of another conversation, right? That you can even have the Wakanda conversation, right? Because now it's like, all right, well, we made him the Black Panther, and if Zuri is also the protector, right? Then you say, all right, well, listen, he's the heir to the throne, and we slid you in here. So I think that's at least a conversation piece that you can clear out as part of a Panther 3, though, bro.
Or you have him raise the new T'Challa as his son, not as his son, but that's his uncle. So you would raise your nephew,
mentor him, or just teach him the game, or whatever the case may be.
There's ways they could have did that, but here's my two things. The one thing that I thought was that the only flaw I saw as far as writing concerned, I didn't like how Shuri went right before she got ready to kill Namor. She went back into the ancestral plane and saw her mom. That was just like how.
Yeah, that
was weird.
Yeah,
and the other thing. The other thing about Namor didn't believe he was a bad guy. Namor was just protecting his country or his kingdom. So he didn't think of himself as an antagonist. Which is why I could see why there was no, bloodshed at the end as far as, because he was just trying to protect his place.
I think my thing is for Shuri, it's a little bit of a logic. Well, I won't call it logic guy, but he killed your mother, and you let him survive. You let him live.
I mean, that was the struggle for her. That was the struggle for her, though. Now, if it was me, would I have killed in that situation? Yes, but that's so.
Okay, but when you think about it in the grand scheme of thing, though, right? She still knows that her dad killed his own brother.
Yeah.
Right. So like how, you know what I'm saying? Like, not to say that there's levels to who getting killed, but at the same time, your people, you know what I'm saying? Your people don't.
It's blood in this Wakanda streets.
Yeah.
Come on, man. But go ahead.
No, so it's like part of it is saying like things happen, and at some point somebody has to decide, well, I'm going to be the person that ends this particular chapter. And I think that's part of the reason why I think that she did, because I also think that she recognized after seeing his world that what he's doing is just protected. So I think that by her being okay with it, it wasn't that she was okay. I think that she was understanding of what his motives were.
I mean, and that's also part of why I still don't think Namor is as good an antagonist as Killmonger is. But it's part of why I had less issue with him, because technically Namor is doing exactly what T'Challa was going to do. Because when T'Challa took the throne, he was like, yo, I'm going to keep doing what my father been doing, which is we don't talk to nobody. Everybody thinks we're poor. We don't share nothing. And then it took Killmonger showing up and literally messing up his entire situation for him to go to, all right, you know what? Let's change. You're talking about Namor, though, who is a literal god who has been in power technically for this specific story. He's been in power doing the same thing for. He showed up in, I think they said it was like the 1500s. We're in the year 2000s. He's been doing this for 500 years.
Yeah.
And for that entire 500 years, he's just been checking up on humanity, being like, y'all still suck. So I'm going to be good down here and I'm going to chill. So him wanting, like, now, I find it odd that the first other group he sees that has vibranium, he's just like, oh, we're beefing now. That seems a little weird to me. But
no, that wasn't his beef. The beef was, so his mindset is this: I have to protect my nation. That's his only mindset, because what he saw was my mom. I went back to come help my mom, and they enslaved my people. So that's never happened again, right? So the issue was that they built. So Riri Williams built a machine that could detect vibranium, right? So we found, up until now, we only know Wakanda as the place that has vibranium, but now they have a machine which was built by an MIT student that can detect vibranium, and and people are coming to the ocean where my nation is. I need to destroy the machine and the person who created it. That was his only beef, because he's like, look, if they have the technology to be able to do this, my community is at stake. So now in his brain, it still worked for him, because it's like, look, now we got basically Wakanda on board, because now the United States wants to go and invade Wakanda. So they will call us. So basically Namor's like, look, because you remember the scene at the end when he had the conversation with, oh girl, she was like, I looked up to you this whole time and you cowered down to this little Black Panther person. And he was like, no, everything is in my favor, because the United States wants to rain on them. They gonna call us. We gonna be able to whoop them, and then boom, everybody, like, my nation is protected, like it was.
So I understand that piece of it, but I still like the logic leap from, well, for me at least, the logic leap from this is your fault, because basically that's what he says to Wakanda when he first shows up. He's like, it's your fault they're showing up. So you what's it called? Because it's your fault, we're now having a fight. And it's like,
because they didn't want to give up Riri Williams. Because again, in the very beginning, the whole point, all we came to do is kill her. We want the scientists. If you give us the scientists,
but he shows up wanting the smoke before they even know who Riri Williams is. That's the thing. Like, he shows up and literally says, hey, there's a scientist who built this thing. Go get her. And they're just like, we were over here doing our thing. Like, what? Who's... So, like, he shows up, he basically, from Wakanda's perspective, this dude literally shows up out of nowhere during their time of grief and says, hey, this is your fault, go fix it. And they're just like, we just buried our king. Like, what you talking about, my G? We ain't started stuff with nobody. And
yeah, but it wasn't, it was just, all he said was, stand with me. Like, look, y'all have vibranium, we have vibranium. So we should be standing together. That's basically where he came from.
But this is where part of my issue is with him, because it wasn't stand with me. It was, hey, go get this chick. It's like, if you just want us to stand with you, you could just say, hey, I'm going to be doing some stuff over there. Stay out of my way. If he had just said that.
Right. But this is what I mean. But this is what I mean by stand with me, because he's saying, look, y'all protected the world from getting vibranium. I'm trying to do the same thing. So now we have a girl who has built a machine that can detect this. So we're all in danger. So you should stand with me. So in his mindset, it's all about, we're doing the exact same thing. Why would you not join me? That's what I'm saying when I say that.
But it's a strong, I mean, I understand where you're coming from, but for me personally, it's a strong leap from, hey, be my ally too, and kill this random kid who's just in college living her best life. Like, that's a strong stance. Now I understand.
But his standpoint, he doesn't know her motivation though, right? In his brain, he's not looking at the particulars, right? It's for him, it's just, this girl created this machine that can ultimately affect my nation. I have to protect everybody else. That's my job as protector and king of this place. I don't know what her motivation is. Whereas Wakanda's like, no, she's just a kid. Whoop de whoop de whoop. He's like, it doesn't matter to me. Like, it's either her or y'all. So y'all, you pick whichever one you want it to be.
I mean, I understand from a storytelling perspective, you want your antagonist to be like, he's right, but he just goes that little extra bit too far. It's just, it felt like he went way too far, way too fast for me. Like that's what it felt like to me.
So let me ask this, y'all. Go ahead, Charles.
Let me tell you. Let me bring this. So this is to me one of the dynamics that I think was introduced with this that I think is brilliant, right? Because I think that one of the things that I think is the same way how Black Panther is to Black people, right? How all just because Black Panther and anything Black Panther. I think that it's pretty smart of them to say, all right, we got a Mexican version of a Black Panther, right? Because I think that one of the things that's always been interesting to me is like franchises like what's my joy that we always talk about with Vin Diesel and Fast and Furious, right? They got a lot of Latinos and Latinas that are heavily put there. They're heavily represented in there, and I think that it gives you a lot of variety in your core audience. So I think that it's brilliant to me from a Marvel perspective that now you have these, like, because they weren't represented, you know what I'm saying, in the Marvel Cinematic Universe like that to that level. So I think that it's dope that they actually have, you know what I'm saying, you think about it, right? Because they slide in some gays. So you had, Captain Marvel as the one that's bisexual or gay, and now you got that inclusion. Well, now you also got the Latinos in here, though, bro. And I think that it's a way that they would be able to flip him into like the Mexican Black Panther, like the true, I'm going to these movies to see him.
By all means, I loved his character. It's just it was his logic that I had a problem with. And that's part of what got me. I loved his character. Like he's somebody I'm looking forward to seeing.
Okay, two questions.
I think it's dope to get us on out of here. It's dope to have him though. What you got?
Mm-hmm.
Okay, so the two questions to get us on out of here, everybody get a chance to answer. Number one, now that you've seen the movie, do you still think they should have traditionally recast him? Because we know he was recast with his son. Should they have traditionally recast him? And then is Wakanda Forever better than the Black Panther, the original? So those two questions, we can go out of here on those.
I mean, after hearing you guys' kind of thoughts on Killmonger, I think they should have brought Killmonger back. And for me, I think the action in the first one was a little bit better for me. I related to the first one a little bit better. The second one I feel like was I'm going to support it. I appreciate it. I do think they checked a lot of the Marvel side stories and TV shows, but as a Black Panther, comparing it to the first one, I felt was for me, I just didn't get that. So that's why I feel like the first one is a little better than the second one. And I just feel like they should have brought back Killmonger. I think me and Ace kind of predicted as far as him having a son, and that's what happened. I am going to see how this progresses further, but that's kind of my stance on it.
For me, I still feel like they should have recast. I mean, do I like the medium they came up with? Yes, because I think part of the appeal of Black Panther, the original movie, was like, all right, now little Black boys everywhere have somebody who can say, oh, I want to be that person. And now they literally gave a little Black boy the ability to say, yo, I am T'Challa. No, like point blank period. I am T'Challa. Part 2. This is me. Cool. So I like that. What's it called? I like that compromise that they made. I mentioned this a little bit in the beginning, but I feel like, for me personally, I like the second one better than the first one, mostly because I feel like I will watch the second one more than I will watch the first one. Meaning I've seen the first Black Panther maybe 4 or 5 times since I watched it the first time. I have a feeling I'll watch this one more often I'll rewatch this movie more than I will the first one. And that's not any knock against either movie. I think they're both great movies. It's just this one, I think I got a little bit more from emotionally and just from a visuals perspective. Like Talokan was dope. I want to go back and like rewatch scenes of that. And the emotional beats did a lot for me. Like Queen Ramunda gone, y'all. That hurt my heart.
Charlie V, what you got, bro?
All right, so I think that for me, in terms of the recasting, it would have been my preference that they recast it, but I'm not mad that they didn't recast them, right? I think that what I would have to have known is how different the script and the story would have been with the recast of T'Challa versus the one that they have now. I think that this one was very tastefully done, right? But I think at the same time, you do miss the cultural impact of not just the Black Panther, right? But a T'Challa, right? It's like, yeah, you can have anybody as the Black Panther because there's been several Black Panthers and there were some before him. But I think that you lose the element of having a T'Challa, right? And I think that the one part that is interesting, then it's like, well, you know, the dynamics of, well, how powerful is this actor compared to Chad Boseman, right? Does he have the same mannerism? Does he do this like that? And so that I think you have to have that kind of concern with people who no, they see T'Challa as the Black Panther, right? Not another. He ain't. Listen, if James Bond can be recasted with a blonde guy and a black-haired guy and a brown-haired guy, surely now you could find a way to do it with T'Challa. But I think that in terms of the movie itself, I still think that it was very tastefully done. I think Black Panther, the first Black Panther, despite the minor things, and even that I would say I don't necessarily like, I still give it a 10, the original. This one I give, I think I give this one a 9.5-ish, and I only do that just out of consistency with how I typically rate Marvel movies. And then Ace, to your point of a compared to a non-Marvel movie, I still think that it hits on it checks all the boxes in terms of having a great storyline. It taps into all the emotions that you want to check. It has the adventure aspect to it. It has the redemption aspect to it. You have all of these things that I think that makes great movies, and I think that it checks the box. The only difference is that I just don't think that it's better than Black Panther 1, but it could very well be because Black Panther 1 was my first exposure. I wasn't into the comics like that. So having that be my first exposure to the Black Panther, probably why I probably give it the nudge. But overall, though, man, I think that it's under it, but it ain't like a sizable gap, though.
Yeah.
What you got, Ace?
I get that. I will say I still believe that they should have recast. I believe that we would have had I would have wanted more opportunity to spend with the character of T'Challa. I think that the audience is smart enough to know that it was a tragic death that caused him to not be able to play the character again. So to have somebody else, to give another Black actor an opportunity to create generational wealth from this character and living with this character for 10, 15 years, I thought would have been dope. And it takes away, I understand they have the young man that's coming to be, you know, T'Challa's son, but I still feel like we missing out on having another prominent Black superhero in the current state who was set to lead the Avengers. I think we missed that piece. Do I like what was presented? Absolutely. I thought the movie was phenomenal. I enjoyed every bit of it, but I still would have preferred to have another character and maybe a John David Washington, someone of that stature. I mean, we look at what happened. Nobody even talks about Rhodey getting replaced. You know what I'm saying?
Oh yeah.
And people love Don Cheadle instead of having Terrence Howard.
I saw Iron Man on TV and completely forgot that Terrence Howard was even in the movie, bro. I was like, what is this man doing in this movie, bro?
Iron Man.
I completely forgot. Bro.
But yeah. And yes, I do like the first Black Panther more than I did this movie, but it doesn't mean that this movie wasn't phenomenal. I know they have both similar grades, but I still prefer the first movie over Wakanda.
I'll tell you. Okay, so let me ask you this. Okay, this is I'm gonna get us out of here on this. Okay, so let's just say hypothetically, right? If you don't recast and you make Killmonger the Black Panther, could he still go on to be part of the Avengers?
Yes, because you already set that up. You set that up in What If, right? And What If Killmonger was the Black Panther. So they already had that set up, and they already used elements of What If in Doctor Strange, right? So you already had that. If you weren't gonna if you were just set on we're not recasting, and they wanted to keep T'Challa, I would have enjoyed that as well.
Even outside of that, I just wonder, and maybe if Bucky's in for the same reason, but I'm just thinking, like, does Killmonger have too many bodies for him to be an Avenger? But Bucky got some bodies too, though, bro.
He do. And that's the thing. I think that because you have a separate nation in Wakanda, he would have fell under the Wakandan laws, right? He was also, and we also have to remember, he was a special agent for the United States, so he got bodies under that too. You know what I'm saying? He has his own additional bodies, but he got bodies for the U.S. too. So
I mean, and if you think of the Hulk literally in the movies, they haven't showed it as much, but they've implied that this dude has literally killed people when he goes on rampages. They don't show you the bodies, but the implication is always, when I lose control, people die. So it's like, all right, you literally have this one dude sitting in the corner in a lab somewhere, and he's got maybe a nation's worth of bodies on him just chilling.
And that was one of the main storylines in Civil War, was all of the bodies that they had. So I mean, it's there. But look, man, we want to first, as the Slash Brothers podcast, we want to thank y'all for taking the time to join us. And I want you guys to
dope conversation.
I want y'all to tell people about what you guys talk about on your podcast. Give us some time frames when y'all go, when you air, like, give us some information. Tell us a little bit about yourself.
Well, I'm the co-host of the Let's Rap podcast, Philosophical. We basically speak on kind of bringing awareness and decision making to a lot of men when it comes to dating, relationships, and even marriage, and even trying to build and mend the communication barriers between men not being able to or wanting to speak due to a variety of different issues. So
it's the way I think about it is we have conversations with each other in public that men should be having, in the hope of encouraging men to do better, to grow, to look for better for themselves. And it sometimes evolves into T'Challa should have been recast and all of that sort of stuff. But that's the basic premise of what we do.
When does the podcast
really appreciate you guys? Oh, sorry. So we have an episode out every Friday, and we've been kind of shifting as far as we go live on Fridays. We release an episode on Fridays, and throughout the week between Sunday and Monday, we have a new episode, either an interview or a super show or a show between me and Jay.
Yeah.
So Fridays and Mondays. Dope. Yeah.
And Phil has his Freedom Fridays. He'll post on TikTok and IG every Friday. Yep. And I am ramping back up to start putting out more echo chambers. Got some topics, got some guests. So that's about to start happening as well.
Yep.
Hey,
look, man,
we could get out of here, but I wanted to listen. I wanted to say this. You had told me that on Black Panther, you told me that the first scene was emotional. You was like, I got a little misty eyed in here, right? And then when I was sitting there in the movie theater and I was watching it, I said, you know what? This boy did cry at the bowling alley. So it would make sense that he was over here getting emotional about this thing, bro.
You sure that wasn't the Onions?
On the Slash Brothers podcast.
Thank you so much.
We thank our guests, Philosophical and Jay Ecko.
Thanks for having us.
Thank you for having us.
Oh my
Appreciate
God.
it, fellas. Ace,
I mean, if OG needs to cry at the bowling alley, he hit them pins and it didn't go right. Let OG cry.
It doesn't matter what your name is.
Slash Brothers Podcast, the greatest podcast of all time. The Slash Brothers Podcast, the greatest podcast.
Can you dig it,
of all time.
sucker?